What's up, everyone? It's Karthik with MoneyVest. Welcome on board for our market open live stream. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We've got the markets essentially flat right now after a very strong rally from yesterday. The Nasdaq was up over 1.2%. We got the S&P 500 up over 1% as well. As crypto, of course, is taking a little bit of a dump. So Bitcoin and Ether, they're both selling off. Bitcoin back below 110. Ethereum is also trading back below 4,000 at the moment, and of course gold prices here also rolling over. They're down over 3%, trading down to low 4200s at the moment as well, given how extremely overbought these precious metals are. Not to mention, of course, silver is seeing its full swing to the downside. RSI, MACD, L3 banker oscillator, everything is showing signs of weakness right now, sitting at just under $50 per ounce for silver prices, as gold is now starting to recover a little bit back over $57 per barrel as well, up over 1.3%. Volatility, 18.5 is where we are. Of course, we got up to pretty high levels on a Friday, and since then we have seen over a 30% crush in volatility, getting down to pretty much low to mid 18s for the VIX at the moment. So hope you all are doing great. Favorite time of the day, market open. Yes, absolutely. And we're going to spend barrels of gold. I meant ounce. $4,200 per ounce is where we are. I thought I did mention barrel, but no. $4,200 per ounce for gold, silver, just under $50 an ounce. And then oil sitting at just over $52 per barrel. Gotta always remember those units, man, when you're talking about commodities, because you will otherwise mess it up. Anyway, yeah, let's do this. Welcome everybody. Good morning. Earnings season is underway. So if you come over to the earnings calendar, we've got lots and lots of companies reporting. Netflix is going to be after the bell. Looks like GE Aerospace, General Electric reported a 13%. EPS surprise. We got Coca-Cola reporting for a 5% beat, with EPS coming in at 82 cents per share, and GE reporting for $1.66. Philip Morris coming in at around $2.24. We got another beat over 7.2%. Raytheon coming with a 20% beat here, and we got Danaher coming in at over 10.5% beat, coming in at $1.89 in earnings per share. And looks like revenues across the board are also beating expectations from these companies. So S&P 500 stocks continue to report some strong numbers. Texas Instrument is going to be later today, $1.47 in earnings per share, with revenues of just over $4.6 billion. And then, of course, we've got Netflix, one of the first FANG stocks coming out with their earnings here today after the bell. $6.89 is the earnings per share, with over $11.5 billion of revenue. And of course, tomorrow is the big day for Tesla. Tesla is going to be reporting after the bell. And we're looking at 53 cents in earnings per share and over $26.6 billion of revenue expected from Tesla. So pre-market, what are we looking at? We got Amazon pushing higher, IONQ is pushing up, Meta's pushing higher 0.5%, Oracle's recovering a little bit. We got SoFi up over 35 basis points, Nvidia's up 32 basis points, Robinhood, Advanced Micro Devices, we got SMH, Broadcom, AST Space, Microsoft, all of these slightly green, with of course a lot of red on crypto. So BMNR down over 1.6, BITX also selling off over 3%, which is good because I did sell a lot of calls yesterday, 5 of them. They're all getting further out of the money, so that's good news. Ethereum, of course, selling off. Iron is down over 1.3. You got Vertex, SharpLink, Nebius, Hims & Hers, ASML, PayPal. Some of these companies, CoreWeave, slightly down here on the day so far pre-market. It has been Akash, oil breaking the short-term downtrend line. Yes, so I did mention, I think in Discord, was it you who was asking for the crude oil analysis, or was it somebody else? But either way, I did share the chart, and we talked about this support level as a pretty good level of demand. And as I mentioned, we are a little bit more on the oversold side, so expect a slight bounce back higher, getting up to over $60 a barrel, right? So that could be an area of resistance here, and a very strong support at $55, $56 for crude oil. Beyond Meat up yesterday and pre-market over 150%. We can take a look at what is the main reason why it's significantly higher. Could be because of some acquisition news, but looks like they are over $400 million due to a debt exchange, helping the company avoid immediate default despite major dilution. So here we go. A company that is on the verge of Chapter 11, Chapter 7 bankruptcies here is issuing more debt exchange or warrants, which is going to be a massive, massive dilution, but it's going to keep the company afloat. And as a result, we are seeing a pretty significant bump here in volume and, of course, prices. But this is what happens when companies do a lot of restructuring. Eventually, they figure out a way to either get delisted or move to the OTC markets. Right now, Beyond is still traded on the NASDAQ, but I mean, this has been a significant, it's pretty much lost its all value since IPO. It's down almost 100%, trading down to like $112 million market cap. So, yeah. What about gold support? We'll take a look at gold here. CRM, what is the upside target? We'll talk about that in just a minute. Mihail, thank you so much. Like your everyday streams. Thanks for it. Appreciate you, man. Any questions, just let me know. More than happy to help. I've been on back-to-back meetings with a lot of members. If you want to ever schedule one, just email me at admin@moneyvest.com. And I'm more than happy to kind of help you in your journey of investing and trading. We've got all the educational material, all the content, the website, all the tools, features, Discord community, everything is going to be there to kind of help you in your journey. That's literally the whole point, is so that we can be very useful for one another. Okay, so let's take a look at gold and what that support is going to look like. And then we'll come take a look at Salesforce as well. So gold here is rolling over, of course. We are incredibly overbought on the weekly time frame, over 82, 83 RSI. And if you do see any kind of pullback, which is starting to look like we are, on a 4-hour chart, you'll notice that we are sitting at a reasonable support. I mean, this is exactly where gold validated that support last time at 4,200. Even the low for the day is 4,205. So low 4,200s, very strong support, and it seems like there is a double top resistance at 43.75, just a little bit shy of 4,400. So that's really the range within which gold is trading right now. So if you do get a bounce back higher, expect that to be the resistance. But in case we get a breakdown below 4,200, then the next support is going to be down here at 4,000 to as much as 39.50s. So there are going to be two levels to watch for gold moving forward. Now coming over to Salesforce, CRM. Right now we are sitting at a resistance. So this would be argued as a bit of a resistance here at 256, 257. And then beyond that, we're going to be watching this level right here, 275. So those are the two levels to watch for Salesforce because, it's been getting rejected here at these lower highs. And of course, was trading inside this descending triangle, a little bit of consolidation here, then finally broke down, then a little bit of consolidation here, starting to show some signs of strength here. But this is a resistance which it needs to break out of in order for us to see highs of 275 again. So if it does see a breakout, consider a retest as a potential support, and then a retest back up to 275 for CRM. So that's going to be the quick technical analysis on those two assets. I heard it was a squeeze. Someone I know made money. I got burned on it a few years ago, so did not touch it. I'm talking, I hope you're talking about Beyond Meat, right? So squeeze on Beyond, Steven is asking. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say, right? Because a lot of the times when you are getting a big influx of capital, just like if you're issuing warrants, 400 million is a huge chunk, right? That's a pretty significant amount of dilution. That's major dilution. Would sometimes lead to these big spikes for the company. So if you come take a look at statistics here, I mean, we're talking 76 million shares overall. 400 million debt securities is a pretty significant number. And so yeah, could be some part squeeze, could be part dilution there. Group got blocked trying to rally a squeeze. Interesting. Okay, silver run over. For any of these sort of runs, I would consider them to be multi-year. And yes, we were extremely overbought. As you can clearly see that, it got up to as much as over 83, 84 RSI on the weekly time frame. It is still pretty overbought, and it is starting to roll over a little bit, right? So down about 5% because of how overextended silver was and gold was. So it makes a lot of sense why it would pull back. And one more thing I want to point out is that, technical analysis is so important, and every investor trader should have at least some basic level understanding of how technical analysis works, because you'll be able to better understand trends, support and resistance levels, and that's really what it comes down to. At the end of the day, like, there's nothing more than technical analysis. Like, technical analysis doesn't help you predict prices. It will never tell you where the stocks are going to go, but rather it's going to give you a very good idea on where these support resistance levels, what good oversold conditions look like for any stock. And so for silver, you can kind of see that I'm pointing out to this higher high and higher low pattern, right? So it was a very nice sort of dip buying opportunity. Every time it was pushing up, it was going up higher than it did the previous time. And every time it was coming down, it was actually higher than the previous time. Now, what changed here? What can you actually tell me for silver's pattern over here more recently? And it's going to be a very easy question, right, for everyone. So if you've been watching the channel, I'm sure you're going to have a pretty good idea on what really happened for silver. What was the big shift, technically speaking, for silver? And I want to see if who's going to be the first one to tell me in chat what that's going to what that means. So yeah, tell me what do you think silver's pattern changed to right about here? Lower highs and lower lows, correct. That's really what started, right? So we started to see lower highs as it's not going as high as it did the previous time, and also some lower lows, like it's actually going lower than it did the previous time. So yes, that is a break of structure compared to what we have seen in the past, and this would be considered as a bit of a downtrend of lower highs and lower lows. So where is that next support? Well, it's going to put us down to 48.50, 48.60, this right here, area of support. If silver comes down to that level and we get a nice little bounce back higher, then it's going to be well within that range of lower highs and lower lows. But if it bounces back up, takes out that resistance and gets up to this level right here at 52.70, then again, it's a question whether it's going to match that resistance and get knocked right back down, or if it's going to break out of this resistance and then we're back to higher highs and higher lows. But this is really where we are on a technical basis. Silver is on a little bit of a break of structure here after being incredibly overbought and, of course, being on this massive 60, 70, 80% run up year to date. And that support now is going to stay put at 48.50s for silver. So, yeah, that's where we are. Okay, keep those questions coming in. Any stocks, any commodities, any companies specifically you want me to go over? Let's cover them quickly, one by one. Apart from anything that's like Magnificent 7 stocks or any of the major companies, which we already cover daily on our market updates, if you have any questions specifically on earnings, we can take a look at those, when those companies are reporting earnings, what's the expected earnings, what the pattern looks like. So let me know. Why don't you like MELI? So MercadoLibre. I have looked into that company. It has, of course, been selling off quite aggressively. It's actually sitting at a good trend line now. So it's not that I don't like it. It's just that there are so many different opportunities, but you only have limited capital. So yes, it is a company that's becoming profitable. We've got growing revenues. It's got a nice little uptrend of higher highs and higher lows, and it's actually sitting at a pretty strong support. So yes, it actually makes sense from a trade perspective as well if we were to see a nice little recovery back up to 2,600, right? So that's going to be a potential target of 24 to 25% on MercadoLibre. And so I would put down a pretty strong support right about here, roughly around the $2,000 level. Right now it's trading back up to 2,100. But this right here is a previous sort of resistance, which I would argue is even a resistance right now. And another support sitting all the way down here at 1930s for MELI. But right now in a very nice consistent uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, nice little rebound coming in from that higher low at the moment for MercadoLibre. Okay, analysts all say $3,000 for MercadoLibre is appropriate. If you come over to statistics, we're looking at a 50 times earnings multiple, 4 times sales, 15 times cash flow, and earnings are expected to exponentially rise from like $37 all the way up to as much as $122. So yes, it does actually look very, very promising. If I'm not mistaken, this is a company based out of Uruguay, and they are focused very much on South America as e-commerce. I believe it's considered as like the Amazon of South America, focusing on countries like Brazil, Argentina, Mexico. Other country segments refers to Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Panama, Peru, Bolivia. So I've never used MercadoLibre for any online shopping, but if you have, definitely do share your experience on how that's been. But this is definitely a stock, I mean, worth looking into, because you've got a company that's actually trading at pretty oversold levels. You've got RSI, MACD, L3 Banker, Oscillator, everything's been selling off from its all-time highs. It's down about 22%. And so this is a company most certainly worth looking into inside this uptrend. You got earnings expected to increase and grow. And then if you come take a look at the balance sheet, about $88 million worth of debt, which again is manageable. It's been fluctuating from positive to negative over the last 4 quarters. So Melly has good stats at 2000. South America, Amazon. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do more research on that. I'm definitely gonna put this on my watch list as one of the high growth potential companies that trading at a pretty decent valuation for us to look at here. This, and then I've got a few more that I'm definitely researching. I did a deep dive on Ubiquiti, UI. It's been hitting all-time highs after all-time highs, sitting at 735 now. Market cap's over 44 billion. But this is another stock that I believe long-term has huge potential. And from its August 2025, this thing is up 95%. And this is since August, literally August. It's more than doubled from its lows right here. Absolutely incredible growth from Ubiquiti here. Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion. I've seen that between 1,700 and 2,000. I agree. I think that's anything under 2K is a good accumulation zone for MercadoLibre. And eventual stock splits can even be another catalyst, another tailwind for MercadoLibre long term. What's my price target on Bitcoin by the end of the year? So I honestly don't issue out price targets ever. Even on the MoneyVest platform, you'll notice that none of them are price targets, but they're more like fair values and they're buy targets. They're different because one is a prediction, one is telling you where the risk reward is very good and where you should be considering to actually dollar cost average and buy and accumulate. So huge difference, right? So I honestly, like I said, I don't like to make predictions, and I wouldn't know with any certainty where anything would be in the future. And that's just me being super honest and super upfront with you, because anybody who's telling you about predictions and all that, they're either lying to you or themselves, or they just don't know any better. Because predictions, they hardly ever work on a consistent basis. And so, yeah, that's going to be my super honest answer. Let's take a look at Joby here, and Hims and Hers also. It has sold off aggressively. It's back in that range. It's been consolidating in that range for some time. We're back in the $51, $50 range here. For Hims, very strong support in the low 40s. Resistance is going to stay put at roughly $60 again, all the way up to as much as $68 to $70 for Hims and Hers. And so that's where we are with this stock. So that's going to be some levels. Let's take a look at CPRT. Is it Copart? Yes. So Copart has also been selling off. I believe they are in the auto industry, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think they might be selling used cars or parts, something like that. Provision for online auctions and vehicle remarketing. Yes. So vehicle sellers and full range of service to process and sell vehicles primarily over the internet through virtual bidding. That's what they have. Super profitable, incredibly profitable. We're talking 33-34% margins and revenues well in the 4.6 billion. Earnings wise, they're expected to consistently grow. We're not talking massive growth, but yes, there is some decent growth in Copart, and of course the stock has also done incredibly well. It has been selling off, and what I would do is watch this support very closely around the $42-$43 range. for Copart. And if you come over to the statistics here, we are looking at 27, 28 times earnings, 9 times cash, 9 times sales, and 24 times cash here, which again is not terrible. It's quite reasonable, but the growth rate is not exponential. It's like, okay, it's linear growth. We're growing at 7, 8, 10% per year with some dividend yield. Also, well, there's no dividend yield. So yeah, support level $42, $43. Uber, I have covered before in the past many times. Support level is going to stay up right about here, $82, $83. It's of course been on a very nice consistent uptrend on a daily time frame. You can see it's been following through on this pattern very nicely, and we've got a resistance up to as much as $100 to $101 for Uber. So that's going to be that resistance. Support level very strong at $82, $83 there. Okay, let's take a look at a few other names. Just Blaze, what about S or RBRK? So S is Sentinel-1. It's also been selling off. It's been on the radar for quite some time, but it hasn't really moved much. Just been consolidating sideways for a long time. I mean, if you take a look at the performance since 2022, it's been 3 years. It's practically been at the same level as it was 3 years ago. We got some decent support sitting at 1550. And then, of course, another very strong support on the all-time low sitting at 1285, 1286. Resistance very strong all the way up to $30. And, of course, this has been the lower highs for Sentinel-1. It's not able to break out all this lower high at the moment. Yes, can we go over LABU? SoFi 2 from $8 has done really well. Yes. SoFi, I do believe, will eventually give us a breakout over $30. I think it's coming. I think we're almost there. Of course, we've hit an all-time high of $30, but I do believe that $30 will eventually become the floor for SoFi, with right now as $24 being the floor, which was historically a very strong resistance. So if you come back on the chart, you'll notice that this right here used to be like a triple top for SoFi, which has now become a pretty strong support for this company. And so as a result, $30, I can feel it, I can see it, which eventually, in my opinion, would become a pretty strong support there. That's going to be a huge buyout candidate and a perfect price right now for a swinger trade as well. Yeah, I mean, there's opportunities in the cybersecurity space. Cybersecurity is a very growing theme. I do believe long-term it's got huge potential. CIBR is one of the ETFs that I have included in my 52 ETF watch list. It's an ETF that includes a lot of high cybersecurity stocks here, including Fortinet, we got Zscaler, Palo Alto, we got CrowdStrike. I believe it has Sentinel as well. But this right here is a very good ETF to consider if you are looking at cybersecurity. Volume is a little low, 11 billion in assets under management, but it has done decent, right? It's more than double since 2022. Of course, the performance has not been as great as maybe some of the other opportunities out there, but I do believe that this is a bit of an undervalued sector that over the next decade could be massive in that time period. Okay, Rolls-Royce recently invested a lot in Aerospace and SMR. So yes, Rolls-Royce, we've been talking about this. Not a whole lot, but I have covered this stock before, listed on the London Stock Exchange. And look at that growth here. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. From $61 to over $1,100 since 2022. So yes, Rolls-Royce has been one of the best performing stocks here. Getting up to over 1,133 pounds. So yeah, it was trading at around 60 pounds at one point. Market cap sitting just shy of 100 billion. And yes, on the weekly time frame, I mean, this stock looks like a true winner since 2022. Absolutely incredible performance. Okay, let's take a look at LABU. So we're going over into some small cap biotech action and on the leveraged side. So LABU starting to recover very well, as has most things since April. This thing is also up over 250%. And really, if you're looking at LABU, you have to be looking at XBI because that's really what it's tracking. And you'll notice that XBI, of course, having a pretty strong recovery from 67. It's up over 63, 64% after a long consolidation. I mean, this right here was the range within which XBI, small cap biotechs were kind of stuck. And of course, now we're seeing a nice little recovery back up. So 138 is going to be that resistance. And even prior to that, we're talking about 120 as a level to watch. And also it is overbought, right? So RSI over 77, MACD, L3 banker oscillator, everything a bit more on the overextended and overbought side here for biotech. So just be a bit more careful given the insane momentum that we've seen from almost everything, more specifically biotech here. Okay, EOSE, and then we'll come take a look at NXT Energy. So let's take a look at EOS Energy. We're looking at a market cap of just over $4 billion, no dividend yield, massive losses piling up here for this company. And I would say a resistance that's going to be sitting tight at around $21. Again, incredibly overbought and overextended. We've got a decent support sitting right about here at 1075. That would be the level to watch for this stock here on the daily time frame. Again, a little bit more parabolic, starting to show signs of some weakness here. And that would be that support of 1075 for EOSE here. Nextracker. This one, looking at 13 billion market cap, profitable, revenues are growing, so that's good. And year to date, over 137% with 23 times earnings, 4 times sales, and 21 times cash flow for this business. 4 week, on the weekly time frame, looks like since October 24, stock's up a nice 201%. I would put down a support right about there at $61, $62, with, of course, on a 5 or 6 week win streak is what NXT is on. And again, overbought at the moment with a very nice uptrend. Continues to get validated right there. Rob, currently which cycle would you say we're in? Because what's going on makes no sense. Kind of tricky market to get in for long-term investment. So yeah, I mean that's a fair question. And if I were to kind of show you some of the dashboard items, you will kind of see how strong this market rally has been. Of course, we are in this 3-year bull market now. We're essentially trading at near all-time highs. Money Invest Index is back in optimism. Forward P is sitting at 26. Top 10 is sitting at over 40% concentration. So really what's happened over the years is we have seen more and more and more concentration in this market as a lot of the capital has flooded towards the biggest and the best winners in the stock market. And of course, a lot of other companies have kind of been left behind. Because most of the S&P 500 gains have been contributed from just 7 to 10 companies. It's a handful of names contributing for most amount of gains for the market. So it's not so much of a cycle analysis and more so about understanding risk and reward. Because if you are investing long term, all you have to really do is look at the Money Invest Index, right? If it comes down into panic and fear, that's your cue to buy. That's literally about as simple as it gets. Like if this number drops below 3, we dollar cost average, we buy. If it's trading above 3.5 and 4, 4.5, maybe just add a little bit more cash to the portfolio, just kind of prepare. And once again, when the markets take a correction, volatility spikes, Money Invest Index drops below 3, then you're back at it. You're back at buying and dollar cost averaging. Like if I were to really just boil investing down to some very simple principles, that's really it. You're buying when there's fear, and you are holding and raising more cash when there are times of unfavorable risk and reward and when there is a lot of euphoria. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Good morning, Caddy. How do you feel about KVUE being a swing trade opportunity? Very oversold in the whole Tylenol thing here. And Srinivas, yes, happy Diwali to everyone. Thank you so much for your best wishes. As soon as I got done praying yesterday, the market's absolutely ripped. And this is something we were talking about in the Discord as well. Like after the market opened, I had my prayers scheduled, spent about 30 minutes doing a prayer with my family over video call. And then as soon as I got done, look at that market. Absolute spike coming in. And yeah, just incredible boom, right? 1.2% for QQQs, and we stayed there very, very well, right? So very strong day. And then people in the Discord were like, yeah, I should be praying more often. So, we've got a pretty good, when it comes to like having that luck, I remember in 2022, towards the end of 2022 in October, I was in Italy in the Lucky Bull. You're supposed to kind of do these circles around that Lucky Bull for like 7 or 8 times, and we were down in the trenches in the worst part of the bear market in 2022. The entire year was absolutely brutal, and then my red mic died off, and then I did that, and then that was a low for the market. Just saying, something to think about. KVUE. Let's take a look from a swing trading perspective here. So I'm going to go over to the weekly time frame, and yes, it is incredibly oversold. You can see RSI, MACD, L3, everything is selling off, and you've got a $28 billion market cap company. You've got pretty stagnant revenue profile, profitability going down. So I think the only way this thing turns around is if you see actual earnings growth and revenue growth for the business, Jeremy. So, if you take a look at the forecast, it's flirting around the $15-16 billion mark. So there isn't really any growth there. And earnings are just $1.10, $1.11, $1.19, $1.20. And if there's more stagnation, the stock price is going to do what it's been doing. It's been selling off. So it's at an all-time low now, right? It's literally trading at an all-time low. So it could be classified as a bit of a falling knife right now. And it's not until after we see some kind of estimates for earnings growth or there's actual revenue growth in the business is when the stock price can really start to flourish once again. And there could be like a 29-30% upside. But right now, the potential reward versus the risk of this continuation of the downside is, I would say, a bit more unfavorable. But if you were to look into this from a swing trade, $14, we call it quits below 14. And you would really want to see a breakout above 17. So that would be that resistance. Support level at $14. If you do take a trade here, you're risking, about 7% for maybe 12% upside, 13% upside, so almost a 2-to-1 trade. And if you do get a breakout, then we're looking at $19 as the next resistance, so 26% potential upside. But like I said, fundamentals have to improve a little bit in order for this to see some more momentum. If you had 800 cash and have to invest it in either NVTS or SoFi, how could you decide which to invest in? Okay, very specific question. So Devitas up 16% yesterday. I would look at both fundamentals and technicals for a business before investing, right? You've got one stock which right now is not profitable and incredibly overbought, an RSI at over 84, our MACD, L3 banker oscillator, everything extremely overbought here. And you've got an earnings forecast not expected to be profitable anytime soon by 2028. And revenue, yes, accelerating, but after a bit of a decline in 2025 and essentially staying stagnant next year as well. Plus the technicals that I mentioned earlier, versus a company that, is already profitable, on the verge of growing more profitable over the coming years, especially with interest rate cuts, and is not overbought right now. Yes, you could argue it is pretty neutral. In fact, if anything, it's been selling off a little bit and trading, of course, at that support of 24.25 with a resistance up to $30 right now for SoFi. So between those two, looking at fundamental factors and technical factors, I would pick SoFi over NVTS, but to each their own. Definitely do research on both of them before deploying capital into anything. It's really just Peter Lynch's wisdom is to understand what you're buying, do some very basic analysis, very basic research on figuring out, okay, what is it that you're investing your money into before making a decision, because it's your hard-earned money. You don't want to just throw it away, regardless of whether it's $800 or 800,000 or 8 million or whatever. Every dollar you need to treat it the same because it's your hard-earned capital, right? So that's why opportunity cost is so big, because if you are investing in opportunity A, you don't have the money to invest in opportunity B. And so you got to make sure that the opportunity that you're investing in is the best one that you can take from a risk-adjusted standpoint, not just from a return standpoint, because a lot of people just look at the return and they're like, oh, great return, let me go ahead and buy it. But how much volatility? How much risk? Is there any bankruptcy risk? What's the debt level looking like? A lot of factors that go into it, right? And that's from a more cross-asset perspective as well. If you're looking at stocks versus real estate, again, what is the risk? What is, the downside of investing in that versus something else, not just the upside. So, all right. Would you pick one between Rocket Labs, AST, and LUNR? Man, I got to do more research on these companies from a fundamental perspective, because I know that none of them are profitable right now. So it's going to be a different discussion because of the fact that I guess which one is in a much less worse situation fundamentally. That's really what it comes down to, if that makes any sense. So, because like I said, none of them are actually profitable. Maybe Intuitive, yeah, not really. So yeah, when you're looking at companies that are just straight up not profitable, then you're just really looking at companies that are most potential for revenue growth, most efficient in terms of operating leverage, and the path to profitability with little to no share dilution and good balance sheets. That's what you're looking at. If profitability is not there, if there's no positive cash flow, there's no net income, then you want to look for companies that have good balance sheets, a path to profitability, like MercadoLibre, right? We just looked at. It is profitable, but when you look at Palantir in the early days, you look at SoFi in the early days, not profitable, but they had good balance sheets. They were extremely efficient. Palantir had no debt, literally no debt. And then you've got operating leverage, meaning the more you scale, the more you become profitable, right? Because your operational cost does not grow at the same rate as your top line revenue. And so when that happens, a company has significant operating leverage. And so as a result, then all they have to focus on is growing their revenue, because they will become insanely profitable as revenue grows without touching cost. Much less worse is what I said. Yeah, much less worse. In other words, which companies are actually less bad, if that makes any sense. Okay, they banned the Diwali festival in Leicester and Birmingham. I feel ashamed for that. Not want to get into politics. Yeah, let's just stick to stocks and not get into that. But yeah, because I kind of see both perspectives. So I'm not going to comment. Okay, market's going to open here about 5 minutes. And S&P 500 slightly down, QQQ is slightly down. It has been quite boring, to be honest, in the markets over the last few weeks, because S&P 500 hasn't really figured out a direction yet, and it's just been consolidating. I should take it back. It's not been boring. It has been a few days of a lot of excitement and a lot of days of no excitement, and that's really what's been happening in this market. Is I can pinpoint and tell you, this right here was a day of what? High excitement or no excitement? High excitement, right? A lot of excitement on this day. Then I can also tell you Friday, day of massive excitement, right? Volatility got up to 29 pre-market. It was a lot of fun putting in orders. Yesterday, you could argue, yeah, a little bit of excitement there. But most of the other days are just we're trading flat, right? We're not really going anywhere. Resistance stays at all-time high. Support level stays right about there. Volatility just kind of bouncing around. Yes, I did enjoy the United win a lot. Did not expect that at all. That was a surprising gift from United. So it was very, very good to watch them win at Anfield after 9 years, I think. It was after 9 years, and a big, big accomplishment. So, yeah, but I feel like we're still going to be kind of fighting for the top 10 this season. So, anyway, volatility back in the low to mid 18s right now. We got Ether sitting at just shy of 3,900. Bitcoin now sitting at under 109,000, so it's been selling off a little bit more. So you got Bitcoin, Ether, gold, silver, all selling off right now on the day. And equities are essentially flat with earnings season getting started. And we've got inflation numbers coming out later this week. So, yeah, 2016 was the last one. Speaking of risks for Progressive, if any, what are the risks since it is an insurance company despite it performing like a defensive stock over the year? I think insurance companies, if done well, and if the underwriting of that risk is good, can be one of the most profitable businesses in the world. And, you know, I keep having this conversation with my dad. I'm like, insurance is a scam. And it's like, yeah, they're just kind of playing on your fear, of risk. It's essentially a risk management business. That's what it comes down to. That's why, Warren Buffett saw the opportunity in Geico. It's actually one of the best investments he could have made is buying Geico and underwriting so much insurance, because they collect all these premiums. They can invest all these premiums into literally just the safest treasury bonds and generate even more revenue, and kind of snowballs from there. But yes, if you can underwrite risk really well, then it can be a very lucrative, very profitable business. And just take a look. I mean, it's, you can kind of see since 2009, Progressive is up over 4,200% while also paying, modest dividend yield, not super high. In fact, nothing. But yeah, capital appreciation, absolutely incredible for a business like Progressive. But of course, for the most part, since 2023, it's been trading sideways. I would watch support around 197, 198. And yeah, that's going to be that level to watch for Progressive. Got a couple flushes on this stock, and 199, close to $200. Are we getting inflation numbers in government shutdown? Yes, so we are. BLS is going to be reporting those numbers this Friday. So this is the updated announcement for Friday, October 24th, 8:30 a.m. Eastern is when the September 2025 CPI numbers are going to be released. I mean, this is now beyond delayed in terms of not only are we getting it for the previous month, we're getting it towards the end of the month for the previous month. And so we're getting like a double delay on this inflation report, because it is already delayed once it's coming out in the middle of the month for the previous month. And now with the government shutdown, it's even more delayed. By this time, literally all of it, October is going to be ending. And whatever inflation report numbers we do get is already going to be obsolete by about a month. So, but yeah, that's where we are. Okay, market's about to open in 30 seconds, everyone. I want to quickly mention, again, if you want to join, be a part of our MoneyVest community, get access to all the real-time trade alerts. Been spending some time buying a little bit, accumulation, dollar cost averaging a bit in SoFi and BITX and Oscars, just kind of building those positions. In fact, MercadoLibre could be my next purchase in the options portfolio. I've been adding Palantir as a new position in the options portfolio as well. Again, link's going to be down below. Would love to have you on board. And I'm going to be extending this sale a little bit longer for Diwali as well as for Halloween, which is going to be coming out. So yeah, link's going to be down below if you're interested in joining us. Any questions, email me, and I'm more than happy to help. And markets are indeed open here. Gold and silver having quite the day, down over 3% and 5% respectively, as markets are essentially flat right now. So thank you so much for joining. Any questions, message me on Discord. I'm going to jump over there, answer everyone's questions, and get caught up to speed. And you all have a great Tuesday. Don't forget, Netflix reporting after the bell. And of course, later this week, we've got so many other companies in the S&P 500 reporting earnings, as well as inflation numbers also scheduled to come out. So thank you so much. Need MercadoLibre to split to start the wheel strategy. Yes, I know. It is pretty expensive. When do we get spreadsheet Saturdays again? We don't love stats. Yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to start that again very, very soon. Thank you so much. Happy investing. I'll see you all.